Now, Winnie Byanyima is the executive director of Oxfam International. I've been speaking to her about how Africa can narrow the rich-poor gap. I began by asking her how critical this gap was here in Africa. Take a listen.
It is very critical. Out of the 10 most unequal countries in the world, 6 are from Africa. So extreme inequality is a problem for Africa, and it is trapping millions in poverty. The levels of inequality can't allow us to lift everyone from poverty. Governments are responsible. Governments are failing to tax the rich and corporations, and they are instead cutting back on public services that poor people need to lift themselves, like education and health.
How do we get governments, especially in Africa, to strengthen their tax policies, but also boost growth across the continent?
Well, Oxfam is calling on governments in Africa and worldwide to tax progressively, to ask the rich and the corporations to pay their fair share of taxation. Over the years, they've managed to reduce their tax rates to very, very low rates, to a point where wealth is hardly taxed. 4 cents out of every dollar comes from taxation of wealth in terms of tax revenues. The rest of the taxes come from poor people, from consumer taxes, especially in Africa. This must change. We must tax more progressively and plow the money into health and education. 262 children are out of school because their countries cannot pay for free education. And when this happens, girl children suffer most, more than even boy children. Health, 10,000 people die every day because they cannot afford health care and their governments don't provide free health care. This is an African problem as much as it is a global problem. We are calling on governments to tax, to close the loopholes for tax dodging, to rein in on corruption, and that will give them enough revenue to pay for education and health of our people.